Good morning everyone. Today we will go for the anatomy of the spinal cord. Okay, today we will discuss about the anatomy of the spinal. Briefly discuss about the anatomy of the spinal cord. Spinal cord is a long, thin, tubular structure made up of nervous tissue, which extends from the medulla oblongata in the brainstem. Brainstem is mainly made by the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata, it is a lower part of the brain stem. Okay, to the it is extends from the medulla oblongata in the brain stem to the lumbar region of the vertebral column. It encloses the central canal of the spinal cord, which contains the cerebrospinal fluid also. Okay, it is a spinal cord. It is a long, fragile, tube-like structure that begins at the end of the brainstem and continues downward almost the bottom of the what you can say lumbar region or sacral up to the coccyx. Okay, bottom of the spine. The spine cord consists of nerve that carries the incoming and outgoing messages between the brain and the rest of the body. And it is also the center for reflexes such as the knee jerk reflexes. Okay, we can go for the next slide. Okay, spinal cord. Spinal cord, it is the main pathway for information connecting the brain and peripheral nervous system. It is elongated, cylindrical, suspended in the vertebral column and protected by the vertebrae. It is surrounded by the meninges and cerebrospinal fluid. The primary function of the spinal cord is a transmission of neural signals between the brain and rest of the body by sensory nerves, motor nerve, and local reflexes. Okay, can go for the next slide. The main functions of the spinal cord is conduction, locomotion, and reflexes. Conduction, in between the bundle of fibers passing information up and down through the spinal cord. Locomotion, repetitive coordinated actions of several muscle groups. Central pattern generators are pools of the neurons providing control of flexure and extension. And reflexes, in that involuntary stereotyped responses to stimuli. Remove hand from hot stove, like that. Involuntary involves brain and spinal cord and peripheral nervous system. It is the main function of the spinal cord: conduction, locomotion, and reflexes. Okay, you can see here in this is the midbrain, brain stem, and it is the continuation of the spinal cord. Okay, up to the spine. Okay, and it is the what you can say brain stem. It is a midbrain, it is a pons, and this is the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata continues with the spinal cord. Okay, you can see in this picture also midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata. All three are say as a, you can say, brain stem, and medulla oblongata continues with the spinal cord. Okay, and spinal cord, it is a already I explained. Spinal cord, it is a thing. It is a cord is long, thin, tubular structure made up of nervous tissue, which extends from the medulla oblongata in the brainstem to the lumbar region of the vertebral column. Okay, it encloses the central canal of the spinal cord, which contain the cerebrospinal fluid. And the brain and spinal cord together make up the central nervous system. In humans, the spinal cord begins at the occipital bone, passing through the foramina magnum, okay, and entering the spinal canal at the beginning of the cervical vertebrae, okay. In human, the spinal cord begins at the occipital bone, passing through the foramina magna, and then it is continuous with the at the cervical vertebrae. You can see here foramina magna is there and continues with the as a spinal canal at beginning at the cervical vertebrae, and spinal cord is further divided into cervical, thoracic, lumbar and sacral. And it is spinal cord, it look like a little bit a S shape, like not a complete S, little bit S shape, okay. And then we can go for the spinal cord extension, or where to here it is present. The spinal cord extend from the foramina magnum to the second lumbar vertebra. See here, this is the foramina magnum. From here it is extends up to the second vertebra of the lumbar vertebra. Up to that there is spinal is there, okay. And it continues above with the medulla oblongata upper, and it tapers inferior and forms the conus medullaris. You can see here, it can look like a cone, and that is as a conus medullaris, and it is connected to the coccyx by non-neuronal cord like that phylum terminalis. You can see here there is terminals are there. You can go in next slide, I will explain about that. Medullary cone or conus medullaris, okay, this is a spinal cord, and where the cord is tapers, okay, tip of the that tapering point you can say as a conus medullaris, okay. And cauda equina, it is a level at the L2 to S1 or S5. Nerve roots resemble horse tail like, okay, that's why it is as a cauda equina. You can see here, see this is, it look like a horse tail, okay. This is say as a cauda equina, and this is medullaris. You can say it is, okay. This is the medullary cone, taper end of the spinal cord. Here in this picture you can see as a taper end of the spinal cord, it is say as a medullary cone, okay. And there is nerve fibers, okay, it look like a horse tail, okay, that's why it is say as a cauda equina. And these are the some fibers like structures of neurons, nerves, that are say as a terminal filium, okay. And this is medullary cone or conus medullaris, is the tapered lower end of the spinal cord. You can see here in this, okay, it is a tapered end of the lower spinal cord. It occurs near the at the level of the L1. L1 means lumbar vertebral level L1, or it may be on L2. This is present medullary cone, it is present at the level of the L1 or L2. It is a tapered lower end of the spinal cord, okay. And this is below that's medullary cone, it is a cauda equina, okay. Cauda equina, it is word came from the Latin word, it means that cauda equina means horse tail, okay. It is look like a horse tail, okay. A cauda equina is a bundle of spinal nerves and spinal nerve rootlets, and it is consist of the second through the fifth lumbar nerve pairs, okay. And it is start at the level of the L2 level, and cauda equina is the continuation of these nerve roots in the lumbar region. These nerves send and receive the messages to and forms the lower limb and pelvic what you can say nerve replaces. And this is the cauda equina. It is at the base of the spinal column and near the first lumbar vertebrae or near the second lumbar vertebrae. It starts at the level of the L1 or L2 and it is a base of the spinal column near the first lumbar vertebrae. Here it is a collection of nerves. Okay, that collection of nerves is say as a cauda equina. And then they look like a horse tail like structure, and just above the cauda equina the spinal cord ends and it continues on this collection of spinal nerves through the vertebral canal. And cauda equina has approximately 10 fiber pairs at the base, and these consist of 3 to 5 lumbar fiber pairs, 5 sacral fiber pairs, and 1 coccygeal nerve. The primary function of the cauda equina is to send and receive the messages between the lower limb and pelvic organ, which consist of bladder, rectum, and internal genital organs. When these nerve roots become highly compressed, and cauda equina syndrome may be diagnosed. Okay, and below that we can see the terminal phylum. Okay, you can see here these are the terminal phylums, or they are also say as a terminal threads. The terminal threads or phylum terminalis are delicate strands of fibrous tissue about 20 cm in length, proceeding downwards from the apex of the cornus medullaris. Okay, it is one of the modification of pia mater. It gives longitudinal support to a spinal cord and consists of two parts, upper part and lower part. Now you can go for the next slide. Spinal cord. It gives rise to 31 pairs of the spinal nerves. The bundle of spinal nerves extending inferiorly from lumbosacral enlargement and conus medullaris, surrounded by the phylum terminali. I already explained what means that, and from the cauda equina. Then segmentally we divided into spinal cord into 8 cervical nerves, 12 thoracic nerves, 5 lumbar nerves, 5 sacral nerves, and 1 coccygeal nerve. It has 2 enlargement, one cervical enlargement and one lumbosacral enlargement. Cervical enlargement supplies upper limb and lumbosacral enlargement supplies lower limb. You can see the enlargements and nerves in next slide. Okay, this is a, you can see as a, this is a medulla oblongata, and this is a cervical and what you can say nerves. But this is a cervical segment which is present in the neck, and this is thoracic segment, and this is lumbar segment, and this is a sacral segment. Okay, and here you can see little bit enlargement is there here. Okay, this enlargement is say as a cervical enlargement. It gives to the what we can say as a brachial plexus and cervical plexus, and they are given to the upper limb. Okay, this is a cervical enlargement. Okay, and you can see another here, and this is a lumbar enlargement. From here you can lumbosacral enlargement. From here you can go for the lumbar plexus or lumbosacral plexus to you can go for the sciatica nerve like that. Okay, these are the 2 enlargements in the spinal cord. One is cervical enlargement, another one is the lumbosacral enlargement. In this you can see clearly it is the cornus medullaris. It is tapering. You can see there in this spinal cord is tapering here. okay, at the level of the L1. This is say as a cornus medullaris, and you can say horse like thread like structures, tail, horse tail like thread like structures. It is say as a cauda equina, and thin delicate nerve like fibers like you can say as a phylum terminalis. It is completely in the sacral region. Okay, you can go for the next slide. Okay, you can see in cervical nerve it is a C1 to C8. Okay, and thoracic nerves are T1 to T10, lumbar are L1 to L5, sacral are S1 to S2, and coccygeal are 1. Okay, and here by cervical nerve and cervical enlargements to forms the cervical plexus and brachial plexus, and lumbar talus and thoracic talus and lumbar 5, and there is some enlargement is there from lumbosacral enlargement or lumbar enlargement to lumbar plexus and sacral plexus. Okay, and cauda equina is there. Okay, you can see here it is look like a horse tail like. Okay, and further fibers are there, that fibers are seen as a phylum terminalis. Okay, I can go for the next slide. See in this, okay, this is the central canal, this is the vertebrae. Okay, and spinal cord is present in the central canal formed by the vertebrae. Okay, this is the body, and these are the processes of the vertebrae. Okay, and in this you can say one foramina is there. Okay, that is called as a vertebral foramina, and this is say as a vertebral foramina. Okay, it is in a typical vertebra, the vertebral foramina is a opening or foramen, okay, formed by the anterior segment, okay, of the body and the posterior part of the vertebral arch. By that this foramina is formed. Okay, you can see here this is a body, this is a body. Okay, and this is a posterior part, it is vertebral arches. By that this foramina was formed. Okay, the vertebral foramina begins at the cervical vertebrae and continues inferior to the lumbar vertebrae. The vertebral foramina houses the spinal cord and its meninges. Meninges means membrane. Word meaning of meninges means membrane. Membrane, which membrane? Which membrane? It covers the spinal cord and brain. That membrane is here meninges. And this large tunnel running up and down inside all the vertebrae contains the spinal cord, and it is typically say as a spinal canal. This foramina or this tunnel is say as a spinal canal. Okay, and you can see here towards the body there are some ligaments are there. They are very important during the when you going for the spinal surgeries or any type of the anesthesia. Then type this feeling or rupturing of these ligaments during the spinal cord anesthesia. The feeling of rupturing the ligamentum flavum, and it is very important to know the feelings. Okay, the posterior I can say as a vertebral body. Okay, it is anteriorly there is one ligament is there. Okay, that's it's a say as a you can anteriorly can say what, and you can see here near the body. Okay, there is posterior longitudinal ligament, and this is the ligament, and posteriorly towards the arches you can in between the arches you can see the ligamentum of flavum. Okay, like in between that you can see the spinal cord. Okay, like that, this is spinal cord is present in between the spinal canal. Okay, spinal canal is formed by the tunnels of the continuous joining tunnels of the vertebral foraminals. Can go for the next slide. You can see here in this clearly. Okay, this is the anterior longitudinal ligament. It covers the body of the vertebrae. Okay, and you can see it is a posterior longitudinal ligament. This is, and in between the processes, okay, this is the ligamentum of flavum. Okay, and this is the processes you can see as the intraspinous ligament, like that. Okay, in this you can see here clearly, it is a vertebral body, it is a disc and vertebrae. This is the anterior longitudinal ligament, and this is posterior longitudinal ligament, and this is the ligamentum of flavum, like that. And this is the spinal canal, or this canal which is formed by the vertebral foramina, or tunnel like structures in the vertebral foramina, joining of the foraminas. That foramina or tunnel is say as a spinal canal, and it is a interspinous ligament. Can name only decide in a supraspinatus ligament. Okay, like that, ligaments are present around the, you can see as a spinal cord. Okay, you can see here in this clearly. Okay, this is the layers. Okay, layers of the spinal cord. Okay, this is the cross section of the spinal cord. This is the body, and this is the canal, spinal canal. Okay, and this is, you can see as a dura mater. Okay, and this is, you can see as a arachnoid mater, and this is here as a pia mater. And in between the pia mater and arachnoid mater, there is a subarachnoid space. It is a subarachnoid. Sub means below, and this space is present just below the arachnoid layer or meningeal layer. That's why it is as a subarachnoid space. And this is a, can say as a arachnoid, and this is the dura mater. Okay, and it is subdural space. This is a subdural space. It is space present in between the arachnoid mater and dura mater. And epidural space is another one. Is space is there, you can say as a epidural space. That space you can in between the dura mater and vertebrae or vertebral canal. Okay, that it is mainly that epidural space is filled with the fat and vessels. Okay, fat and vessels. Okay, in that, you can cross section of the spinal cord, you can say it is a gray matter, and this is white matter, and this is the central canal. Okay, like that. And these are the spinal nerve. This is the, you can say that this is the anterior ramus and it's a posterior ramus. The both are joined and forms the sensory root, and this is the dilated part of the nerve. It is as a root ganglion, and then it's from the spinal nerve. Okay, can go for the next slide. In this you can easily see the how in spinal cord is present in the spinal canal. Okay, this is a cross section of the spinal cord, and this is a what you can say as a gray matter, and this is a white matter. Okay, and that white matter covers the meningeal layer, that is a pia mater. Okay, just above the white matter there is pia mater. Okay, and this is this layer, and that pia mater covers the another one layer, middle layer. That layer is say as a arachnoid mater. Okay, and in between the pia mater and arachnoid mater space is that space is say as a subarachnoid space. Okay, and above the subarachnoid and outer layer, this layer you can see as a say as a dura mater. Okay, this layer, outer layer. Okay, this is as a dura mater. Okay, and in between the in between the dura mater and arachnoid space there is subdural space and epidural space. This you can see it is somewhat yellow structure. It is completely filled with the fat. Okay, this filled with fat is as a epidural space. Epidural space means, and this space is as a epidural space and it is filled with the fat and blood vessels. Okay, this is, and it forms the function is like a Cushing's to the spinal cord. Okay, this fat, and it is present in between the dura mater and vertebral foramen or column. Okay, or vertebral wall. This is the area between the dura mater and the vertebral wall, containing the fat and small blood vessels, and its main function is form the protection and forms the cushion to the spinal cord. See, it is a body of the vertebral column. These are the arches or processes of the vertebral column, and in between that you can see it is what you can say as a dura mater. Okay, and these are the nerves of these are the ventral root, and this is a dorsal root join and form the dorsal root ganglion and continues with the spinal nerves. Okay, you can go for the next slide. Meninges. Okay, meninges word means, meninges means the word meaning is membrane. Okay, meninges word meaning is membrane, and within the all brain and spinal cord is covered by the membrane. That membrane is say as a meninges. Okay, and these are 3 in number. Okay, the 3 membranes, their outer is dura mater, middle is arachnoid mater, and inner is pia mater. Okay, and that line is skull and vertebral canal and encloses the brain and spinal cord. Okay, within the spinal canal, the spinal cord is surrounded by the epidural space. I already told what is meant by epidural space. It's filled with the fatty tissue, veins and arteries, and the fatty tissue acts as a shock absorber, or it work like a Cushing. Okay, and the spinal cord is covered by the meninges, which has 3 layers. Okay, in this picture you can see easily. This is the outermost layer, it is a dura mater. This is the middle layer, this is arachnoid mater. In between the arachnoid and dura, this is a, you can say, a subdural space. Okay, and in between the arachnoid and pia mater, there is a space is there. That space is a subarachnoid space, and in between the arachnoid and dura mater, there is a space is there. That space is a subdural space. Okay, and this is a pia mater. It is covers the spinal cord, white matter of the spinal cord, and nerves, or you can say as the rameys or horns of the nerve. You can see here in this picture clearly. This is body, these are the processes, and this space dura in between the vertebral wall and spinal cord, the dura mater. This space is as a epidural space and contains the fat and arteries and veins. Okay, and it will work like a shock absorber, or you can say the Cushing's, or it protects the spinal cord. And this is the dura mater, and this is the arachnoid mater, and this is the pia mater. Okay, and this is the space between the arachnoid and pia mater. It is subarachnoid space, and this is the dorsal, and this is the ventral surface, like this. You can see here in this picture clearly. These are arteries or veins are seeing. This is the epidural space. This is the dura mater. This is the arachnoid mater. This is subarachnoid space, and this is a pia mater. Like that it is present in the spinal canal. Okay, the brain and spinal cord are surrounded by the three connective tissue membrane that are meninges, singular meninges: brain, cranial meninges; spinal cord, spinal meninges. Dura mater is tough mother, okay, outermost tough membrane. Arachnoid mater, it is a middle layer, it is spider mother. It is look like a spider, okay, that's why it is say as a spider. It look like a spider, that's why it say as a spider. The spider web filamenous layer. Pia mater is gentle mother, thin vascular layer adherent to the continuous of brain. Pia and plus arachnoid is called as a leptomeningeasis. And arachnoid look like a Greek word which means the spider. Okay, the spinal cord, the spinal meninges, dura mater, arachnoid mater, and the pia mater are layers of the connective tissue that protects the spinal cord and supply it with the nutrients. They are continuous with the cranial meninges, which perform the same function for the brain in the spinal cord also. The between the arachnoid mater and the pia mater is subarachnoid space, which is contains the cerebrospinal fluid. In short way, it is contains the CSF. Okay, the spinal meninges, it is connective tissue membrane surrounds the spinal cord and brain. Outer it is continuous with the epineuron of the spinal nerve dura mater. Arachnoid mater, it is thin and whipsy. Pia mater is bounded tightly to the surface of the brain and spinal cord and forms the phylum terminally, which the pia mater, okay, it forms the phylum terminally which anchors spinal cord to coccyx and the denticulate ligaments that attach the spinal cord to the dura mater. Spaces, there are three spaces that are there: epidural space, subdural space, and subarachnoid space. Epidural space contains the blood vessels, connective tissue, and fat, and subdural space is contains the serous fluid. Subarachnoid space, it contains the CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, and blood vessel within the web-like strands of arachnoid tissue. Like this, the coverings are there to the spinal cord. Okay, it is present in the vertebrae, vertebral wall or vertebral canal or spinal canal. Okay, and there above that covers the innerly vertebrae by the epidural space filled with the fat and blood vessels and connective tissue. Then it comes the dura mater, the dense irregular continuous tube, okay, connective tissue, the tube. Subdural space, it is filled with the interstitial fluid. Arachnoid, okay, is a spider web of the collagen fibers, and then subarachnoid space is became then the pia mater. Okay, it is thin layer covers the brain, covers the white matter of the spinal cord, and dentinate legs hold the places. In this picture you can clearly see the dura mater, arachnoid mater, pia mater, and ligamentum denticulatum. Okay, this is the ligamentum denticulate. This pia mater holds the pia mater and spinal cord properly. Okay, you can go for some structures before we can go for the cross section of the spinal cord. We know the some structures. What is meant by the ganglion? Ganglion is a group of neurons outside the central nervous system. You can see these are the dilated parts. You can see as a ganglions. Okay, and nerves. Nerves are group of nerve fibers, axons outside the central nervous system. Then what is meant by nucleus? A group of neurons within the central nervous system. And now tracts. What is meant by tracts? These are the group of nerve fibers within the central nervous system. The cross section of the anatomy of the spinal cord. Okay, in that you can see the two matters. Okay, the central area of the gray matter is shaped like a butterfly, or it is look like a H. Okay, it look like H, and surrounded by the white matter. Okay, in three columns. Okay, the gray matter, it is butterfly like, or it is look like a H shape, and we can go for the cross section of the spinal cord. Okay, and this gray matter, it contains the neuron cell bodies within little myelin. Okay, and site of the synaptic integrations and information processing of the central nervous system. And white matter is myelinated axon. It is because it look like white because it contains the more myelinated axons. Because of that, it look white in color, and tracts that carries the signals from the one part of the central nervous to the another part. Okay, you can see here. Okay, this is a cross section of the spinal cord. This is outermost layer. This is a, can say as a white matter, and inner it is say as a gray matter. Okay, and inner gray matter, it is look like a butterfly. Okay, or it is look like a H shaped. Okay, and this is a commissure. Okay, where it is both right and left halves are joined, that is say as a gray matter commissures. Okay, and it is has the ventral horn and dorsal horn. Okay, this is the ventral horn. Okay, and this is the dorsal horn. Okay, and this is have the one canal, that is say as a hole, that is say as a central canal. Okay, this is a dorsal horn. Okay, and this is a ventral horn, and this is a lateral. Okay, and this is, okay, this is say as a gray commissures. Okay, it means right and left gray matter is unite and forms a gray commissure. In that you can see the one central canal. Okay, and this is the what you can say as a dorsal horn, this is a ventral horn, and this is a lateral horn. Okay, and in that you can say as a two types of nerves are there. One is from the dorsal root, another one from the ventral nodes. Most of time dorsal root are the sensory neurons, and most of time ventral roots are the motor neurons. Okay, and in between the what a dorsal root and ventral root in the horn or in lateral, there is interneurons. Okay, interneurons are present. Okay, you can see here in this also, and this is a white matter. That gray matter is covers the white matter, and it is look like white because of it contained myelinated. It looks white because it contains the more myelinated axons. Okay, this like, and this unites and forms the dilated part of the ramus. Dorsal and ventral are joined and forms the mixed peripheral nerve, and that dilate dorsal root of the ganglion. Okay, dilated part is dilated, then it is from the nerve. Okay, you can go for the next slide. The gray matter looks like a butterfly or H-shaped, consists of, already I told, dorsal horn or posterior horn, ventral horn or it is anterior horn, gray commissures which connects the left and right side of the gray matter. In the gray commissures only there is one canal is there, that is central canal, and it is also has the lateral horn from T12 to L1. Now gray matter in the spinal cord, this dorsal horn, okay, or posterior horn, it mainly carries the sensory nerve fibers which enters this dorsal horn. Ventral horn contains the somatic motor neurons. They exit the ventral horn and leads to the skeletal muscles. Then lateral horn contains the neurons for the sympathetic nervous system. They exist via the ventral root also. You can see here, this is the, can say as a dorsal horn, this is the lateral horn, and this is a, you can say as a ventral horn. Posterior, lateral, and medial, and this is the can say as a central canal, and these are say as a commissures, gray commissures, and this is the dorsal gray horn. It is a sensory, ventral gray horn or the motor. Okay, and gray matter, neurons and neuroglia and blood vessels. Gray matter, the nerves cells are multipolar and are three main categories. One is sensory neurons, one is lower motor neurons, okay, located in the and internus or connective neurons. Already I told, one is sensory, another one is motor, another one is internus. Sensory neurons or tract cells, they receive the impulses from the periphery of the body and whose axons constitute the ascending fasciculi of the white matter and located in the dorsal horn. You can say here, these are the dorsal horn. And lower motor neurons, they are present in the ventricles that transmit the impulses to the skeletal muscles located in the ventral horn. Similar neurons in the lateral horn are preganglionic neurons of the autonomic system. And here you can see the interneurons or connector neurons. Here you can see connector, they linking the sensory and motor neurons at the same different level which from the spinal lymphatic arc. I already explained last picture that you can see here in this picture. You can clearly, these are the sensory neurons, these are the motor neurons, and these are the internus neurons. Sensory neurons at the dorsal horn, motor neurons at the ventral horn, and in the gray matter they are internus, they are transmitters. Okay, and these motor neurons go to the skeleton, and these are the sensory. Now we can go for the white matter. They consist of mixture of nerve fibers, neuralgia and blood vessels. These are outer portion, and it is covers the gray matter. The white color is due to the high proportion of the myelinated nerve fibers or myelinated axons. The white matter of the spinal cord is arranged in columns and funiculi, anterior, posterior and lateral. Okay, the nerve fibers are arranged as a bundles running vertically through the cord. The group of nerve fibers that share a common origin, termination and function from a tract and fascicula. These tracts are formed by the sensory nerves fibers ascending to the brain, motor nerve fibers descending from the brain, and fiber of connector neurons. The tracts are often named according to their points of origin and distension. Example, spinothalamic or corticospinal. You can see here these are the anterior, posterior and lateral. Like that you mainly do the cord is arranged as a columns and funiculi. They are mainly, these are the anterior, these are the anterior, and these are the lateral, and these are the posterior. And depending on their function, the spinal tract are divided into ascending and descending tract. Okay, then commissures of the spinal cord. There are two type of commissures are there. One is the white commissure, another one is the gray commissure. Gray commissure, it is present in the inside, and white commissure is present in the outside. Okay, and gray, first we can go for the gray commissure. The transverse bridge of gray matter connecting the anterior and posterior horns, horns of each side. It precedes preceded by the central canal that divided into anterior and posterior part. This is, you can see as a gray commissure. Okay, this is the anterior part and this is a posterior part. Okay, the transverse bridge of gray matter connecting the anterior and posterior gray horn on each side. And now we can go for the white commissures. It is lies ventral to the gray commissures. mainly contain the decosting nerve fibers. Okay, this is the white commissure. Now we can go for the central canal. The cerebrospinal filled space that runs longitudinally through the entire length of the spinal cord. The line by the ependyma means ciliated columnar epithelium continuous with the ventricular system of the brain. Okay, this is the central canal. The superiorly open into the fourth ventricle and inferiorly in the conus medullaris. It expands into the falciform terminal ventricles and terminates below at the root of the phylum terminal. The regional difference of the spinal cord cross sections. Okay, it is cervical is different, thoracic is different, lumbar is different, and sacral is different. Although the general pattern of the gray matter is the same throughout the spinal cord, and regional differences are appearance in the transection. The amount of white matter increases in a caudal to cranial directions because fibers are added to ascending track and fibers leaves descending track. The gray matter is increased volume in cervical and lumbosacral enlargement for inversion of upper and lower limbs. The lateral horn is characteristics of the thoracic and upper lumbar segments. You can see here these are the amount of the white matter. In the cervical it is more, and in the thoracic there is less, and lumbar is further more, and here is more. See. Now you can go for the nerves. Okay, you can see here this is the spinal cord. Okay, then this is the dorsal horn, and this is the dorsal ramus, ventral ramus. The joints forms the ganglion, root of the root ganglion. Then it is a nerve. Okay, like that. And there is a sympathetic ganglion. Okay, there is further medial branches and lateral ventral posterior ramus and anterior ramus. Okay, and this is come and form the anterior ramus. Like that, nerve, spinal nerve. You can say here in this. Okay, this is the posterior root of ganglion, means dilated part of the ganglion, and this is joint anterior and posterior and forms the spinal nerve trunk. And that spinal nerve trunk further gives the branches and forms the sympathetic ganglions, and that further from the anterior ramus, then lateral cutaneous branches, anterior branches, like that you can see. The spinal nerves. The spinal nerves, there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves, 8 pairs of cervical spinal nerves, 12 pairs of the thoracic spinal nerves, 5 pairs of lumbar spinal nerves, 5 pairs of sacral spinal nerves, 1 pair of coccygeal spinal nerve. The branches of the spinal nerve. The dorsal ramus and ventral, already told how the dorsal ramus and ventral ramus and ganglion is formed. Okay, the dorsal ramus is inverted deep muscular muscles of the trunk responsible for the movement of the vertebral column and skin near the mandible of the back. And ventral ramus, what they invert depends upon which part of the spinal cord is considered. The thoracic region from the intercostal nerves that innervate the intercostal muscle and the skin over the thorax. A remaining spinal nerve, ventral rami or root of the plexus, from 5 plexuses or intermingling of nerves. The ventral rami of C1 to C4 forms the cervical plexus. Ventral rami of the C5 to T1 is from the brachial plexus, and ventral rami of the L1 to L5 it is lumbar plexus. Ventral rami of the L4 to L5 forms sacral plexus, and ventral rami of the S4 to S5 forms the coccygeal plexus. and communicating rami communicate with sympathetic chain of the ganglia. You can see in this picture, you can clearly see that this is the dorsal horn, and from the dorsal root of the ramus, and this is the ventral root of the ramus, and there forms the dilation. There is a dorsal root and ganglion, and this is the ventral ramus, and they join together and form the spinal nerve, and they further gives the some branches. They are gray ramus and white ramus. Then white ramus further it gives the sympathetic ganglion, joint dilated ganglion that forms the splenic nerve, and that will give the some structural or like give the stomach or intestine like structures. And that further ventral and the dorsal ramus spinal nerves and forms the further gives the dorsal ramus, and that further dorsal ramus gives the branches to the lateral branch and medial branch like that. And ventral ramus go further and forms the general somatic afferent fibers, and that forms the cutaneous, give the cutaneous nerves and anterior ramus like that. Like that spinal nerves are formed. Now blood supply of the spinal nerve, they are mainly by the anterior and posterior spinal arteries. Now blood supply of the spinal cord. You can see here, this is the spinal cord, and this is the aorta. You can see here, this is the anterior part, this is the anterior spinal artery. You can see here like this. And this is the, you can see as a posterolateral spinal artery. This one, this is the anterior and this is a posterior. Like that it is give the blood supply to the spinal cord by the whole length of the aorta. It gives the their branches gives the arteries to the vertebral artery, or that gives the anterior spinal artery. And according to part section, cervical vertebral artery, thoracic radicular artery, and then lumbar radicular arteries or great radicular artery. Then like that they give the blood supply to the spinal cord. You can see here in this picture, here also the posterior inferior cerebral artery, vertebral artery, anterior spinal arteries, posterior spinal artery, they are arranged in medullary arteries. Like that they can give the blood supply. You can see here in this is the body of the vertebra, this is the aorta. Then next gives the branches to the vertebral arteries. And here they give further branches, and here you can see here, this is the anterior spinal artery, this is a posterior spinal artery. And this is the ventral epidural artery. Ventral epidural artery, and these are lumbar artery, or you can say vertebral artery, like that you can say. And venous drainage also same, like anterior radicular medullary vein and posterior radicular medullary vein that drains directly into the azygos, or you can go for directly into the inferior vena cava, like that. And in this picture you can see how this is the spinal cord. Then this is the anterior spinal artery, and this is the posterolateral spinal artery. The anterior spinal artery further gives the blood supply branches, that is the anterosulcal artery. And then the anterior artery and posterior artery makes the anastomosis and forms the corona. And lateral columns, like that it is give the blood supply. Anterior spinal artery, vertebral artery, subclavian artery, radicular artery, gray vertebral artery, like that they will go lumbar radicular artery, like that they give the blood supply to the spinal cord. There is venous drainage, there is a posterior median vein, and this is the anterior median vein that drains into the anterior radiculomedullary vein, and that drains over azygos vein or directly into the inferior vena cava. Like that it will drains the blood to the, this is the anterior or anterior median, this is the posterior median, and that ends in the ascending lumbar vein. Now we can go for the clinical anatomy of the or applied anatomy of the spinal cord. During the anesthesia, it is very important. Okay, you get some anesthesia, epidural anesthesia, or caudal spinal anesthesia, caudal anesthesia, or you can say as a in the subarachnoid space anesthesia or epidural anesthesia, like that, because during that there is penetration of the spinal needle, that is from the skin to the supraspinal ligament, intraspinal ligament. These are the layers: ligamentum of flavum, endo, arches, epidural space, dura mater spinalis, arachnoid mater, subarachnoid mater. There you can see is the what CSF. This is the spinal cord anesthesia. I can give here. You can see here. This is the epidural anesthesia, means in between the dura mater and column, vertebral column. This is in the epidural space. Spinal means in the arachnoid mater. This is the skin. Okay, then muscles. Then there is a, here you can get the ligamentum of flavum with skin. And you are given in the anesthesia to the caudal area, that is as a caudal block. If you giving in the spinal cord at a level of the L2 and L3 or L1 to L2, that is as a spinal block. Then spinal injuries. Okay, this is another one important applied anatomy of the spinal cord. There is spinal injuries. During that you must not move the spinal cord. Okay, there is one procedure is there to lift the patient in the spinal board. Okay, this is the spinal board, hard spinal board. We move and we can apply like this belts and move the. This is the in the cases of the spinal cord. There is very important. Then spinal tumors. Okay, this may be schwannoma, it may be any cancerous tumor or anything. There are some tumors are there, spinal cord tumors. Then tuberculosis of the spinal cord. Okay, this is the tuberculosis of the spinal cord. It is also say as a spot spine. Okay, then you can go for the compressions of the spinal cord, like that. During the lumbar spondylosis or spondylosis cases or any fall, there is maybe anterior compression, there may be posterior compressions, like that. Compressions are there may be happen. And subepidural hematoma. During the injuries or any cases, there is subdural hematoma. Another one is subepidural syndrome is there, and subarachnoid space hemorrhage is there, and you can say meningitis also you can occur. Okay, this is about the anatomy of the spinal cord. Briefly, this is about anatomy of the spinal cord. Thank you very much.